Right, got my mate's bike in for some work done on it. It's a 54 plate Suzuki DL1000 V-Strom. There's a centre stand needs to go on it. He's wanting his valve clearances check shims. Some spotlight things to go on it. A power socket put in on his like fairing, like on here somewhere, because this bit here he has his phone plugged in that he uses as a sat nav, so he wants a power supply to keep that charged. Some of the little bits and pieces which I'll remember as I go along. One of the boxes to repair which sat down there, and as you can also see in the picture, I'm minus a bit of room because Mrs. has got half the garden furniture in. So I'll get set up and we'll make a start on. I'll probably do it centre stand first so I can get it sat up straight. To do check the shim clearances, the valve clearances on this. It's tank off, front fairing off, oil cooling system off, like radiator and that. As I say, we'll get there as we get to it. Right, that's it for now. I'll come back when I get better ready. I'll start that again. We'll come back when I'm a bit better set up. Right, he's bought himself a new centre stand. Well, I think what he's done, he's had a look on the bike, because what I've got here is a new centre stand, a new bracket with the old bolts in that were off the bike, but there was no bracket, a new spring and a new bolt for the other side, but the bracket for the other side's already on, and it's not a new one. So this bike's obviously had a stand on it at some point and it's been taken off. So that's the new centre stand, etc. And if I go around the other side, try and get it so you can see this. Oh, some light on. Right, this is going to be a bit right. The centre stand goes into this bit here and then onto that side there, and the other bracket goes on this side as well. Obviously a bolt through that hole, bolt from the other side into there, threads into there, and then somewhere up here, yeah, just there where the light's shining on, that's where your spring attaches. And with the spring, if you look on the side stand here, the long bit of the spring is at the top and the short bit of the spring is at the bottom, and that is the same as the spring for the centre stand. You've got like a long length there and a short length there. So when I put the spring on, that's the way I'll be doing it, the same as the side stand. I'll put the long bit to the top and that bit will fasten to the side stand. Right, so I'll knock it off again and we'll get set up and start doing this. What I might do actually is I might just fit this, because there's no way I'm going to be able to film it, so I'll probably just come back when the stand's done. One thing I will say is it'll be all the bolts, the threads will be cleaned out on the mounting itself where it goes on the bike, and there'll be Loctite used so that it doesn't come loose. So, right, when I come back, hopefully the bike will be sat on its centre stand. Okay. Right, there's the centre stand done and on. Let's give you a quick thing of what we actually did here. Right, I don't know if you can see so well on here. I'll try and hold the camera as steady as I can. With this bolt here and this... Hang on a second. Come on, lie down. Come on. Over here. Good girl, lie down. Sit. Good girl. Stay. Right. Alright. This bolt here and this bolt here, they've had Loctite put on them. And then underneath, if I go underneath and show you, this part here, this part here and this part here, that's threaded for this bolt, and the same on the other side, to screw into. What I've done is I've put Loctite into the threaded hole, and then on the actual bolt itself I've put grease, so that it's the bit that slides through the actual centre stand. So I've got all that bolted up, got the spring pulled on, which was incredibly tight. Well, not incredibly tight, just the tension, but I just used a hook tool and just give it a good pull and it came on. So that's the centre stand on and working fine. So the next thing is I need to strip her down a bit. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check the valve clearances, see if it needs shims, which I'm hoping it won't. I mean, the bike runs absolutely spot on. It never misses a beat, but it's got to that time where I don't know if I can think the mileage would. No, I'm not 100% sure what the mileage is on this thing. Where's the keys? Let's have a look. Right, one of these keys fits it. Not that one anyways. There's about 6 million keys on this fob, because he's got the boxes, and each one of the boxes has got a separate key. That's it. Just doing its check. There you go. 30,075 mile, and you're meant to check the valve clearances every 15,000 on these things. So yeah, I'll check them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strip it a bit, seat off, tank off. Now, a lot of the stuff I'm going to do by like panels that I'm taking off, you don't really need to take them off for doing your shim check. Like the tank, you just stick that up in the air and support it, take the side panels off, etc., and you can usually get to what you want. But because I've got other things to do on it as well, it makes it easier for me. Come on, down here. Makes it easier for us to do my other jobs. So I'll knock you off for now, and I'll strip it down a bit, and then I'll come back. Okay. Right, I've got the bike stripped down. I can now start getting at the bits and pieces that I need to get at. Rear head obviously you can get at from, well, the rear. Front head is now accessible because there's no radiator on there. And as you can see, I've took all the inner fairing off, the tank and seat and side panels, etc. Crash bars. Batteries out as well. That's on charge over there. Yeah, so what I'll do next is I'll get you set up in a position where, and we'll start stripping down, getting the rocker covers off both heads, and then we'll do a check on the valve clearances. Now I did all this last night, got it down to this stage last night, and then phoned the lad. Well, he actually phoned me, so I was having a crack with him. Told him to get his service kit ordered, because obviously it was getting a service as well, and told him how far I'd got down. He asked if I'd filmed it, and I said I hadn't, and he suggested when I put it back together to film like all the fairings, panels and stuff going back on, so I'll do that. There was something else I was going to say as well. Oh yeah, I watched the videos back that I did yesterday, and when I was on about the swing arm, I had it laid out on the floor here. You'll notice that the bushes that were in the swing arm were on the outside, like they're sort of like an insert with a washer on one end, and the washer parts were on the outside edges of the swing arm. But when I put the swing arm in, I'd actually taken them out and put them on the inside, because that's where they're meant to be. So, just in case anybody tries to put a swing arm in with them washers on the outside, what'll happen is the plates won't fit on properly, and well, I've never tried it, but I presume it would maybe lock the swing arm so it wouldn't work properly. But yeah, the bushes that go in the pivot point of the swing arm, they go from the inside, so the washer part of the bush sits on the inside edge of the swing arm, and sorry, the centre stand. Fucking hell, first video I'm getting screwed up already. Yeah, so right, what I'll do is I'll knock you off and get you set up in a better position, and we'll start taking this thing to bits a bit more. Okay. Right, we'll make a start. Just find somewhere to put my flag. Right. One thing you should notice, here and here in the top of the throttle bodies, there's I've put some rag in the holes just to stop any shit dropping down there. Right, so we're going to start on this rear cylinder. So what I'm going to do, I take this clip off and pull the breather off. Just stick that in there for now, out the way, and then I'm going to lift this cable clip, move that wire out of the way, and then we'll unplug the cam's position sensor, and then that lot can just tuck into the battery box. Shift that out of the way. Just move the fuel line up there. Right, next thing is pull the plug cap. Now you've got 4 sort of bolts that hold this rocker cover on. So I'll just get me. So we'll undo them. you'll see under the screws these washers, like gasket washers. Don't reuse them, put new ones on. I've got a kit, new rocker cover gaskets, all new washers for there. Basically it was only, I think it was 28 quid. Right, and hopefully this should just pop off. Get it past the wire in. Pull that off. New washer for the plug. New washers for in here. And obviously a new gasket. Right, I'll just move these out of the way. So, what you've got is your cams in here. You need to position these in such a way basically it's top dead centre, front and rear. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, with these, when you rotate the cams, when the two lobes are sort of not pointing at each other but pointing inwards, sort of like that and up that way, that's top dead centre on there, and on the front one they point out that way, and that'll be top dead centre on the front. But down on the side there's on your Jenny cover there's a plug in there which I'll take out because you can turn the engine over with that, and there's also a plug on the side which tells you, with these marks in it for like front top dead centre and rear top dead centre. So I'll just knock it off for now and move to the front. We'll get the front one off. Right, it's the same thing on the front. You've got a breather pipe to take off, which I'll do. Plug lead to come out, plug captures there. Shove the pipe out the way, plug lead out of the way, and then I'll just grab a shorter Allen key. Thing is with these is now to grip on. Right, I'll just give a loud tapping tool. Right, little nylon hammer, and just give it a a light tap till it cracks, and then just same as the back one, just come on, gasket not want to come off. Right, that's that lot off. Right, so I'll just knock it off again. What I'll do is I'll show you where the plug in that is on the side, and we'll get it turned over and get like onto top dead centre on one of the cylinders, and then we'll check the gaps. Back in a minute. Right, we're on the left hand side of the bike. What we've got here is you've got a plug here, which is like for lining your timing marks, and then you've got your centre plug here. So you want to be taking them off. That's rather tight. That's incredibly tight, in fact. Right, I'll just knock you off a sec and get some different tools. Right, I've got a shorter socket and a breaker bar. Let's see if I can get this to turn. No. Right, we have a serious problem here. Right, I'll just knock it off for a second. Right, I've just got off the phone with my mate. This plug here, whoever's been at it last has either seriously over tightened it, or they've put Loctite in it or something like high strength. I don't know if you maybe won't be able to see perfectly from there, but the key, Allen key I was using, it's just starting to round it out. So that's not coming out. I can get it out. But I'll knacker that doing it. So I phoned my mate, and he's asked if there's any other way I can turn the motor over without using that bit, which there is. It's just the old-fashioned way, bang it in gear and just turn the back wheel, which is what I'm going to do, because all I'm wanting to do with this is check the valve clearances. So he's going to sort out eventually a new one of these, and when he gets one I'll get this out and we'll put the new one in without over tightening it. But that's just ridiculous. This is the first time this thing's been apart while he's owned it. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll see I did a sprag clutch on a Triumph. Well, the lad that owns this is the same lad that owns the Triumph. Well, he's since sold the Triumph and bought himself this. So this, as I say, this is the first time it's been apart while he's owned it. But we will sort this out, but at another time. So what I can still do is I'll rotate the motor by, like, obviously as you've seen, put it in gear and rotate the back wheel to turn the motor to where I want it, and once I get the timing marks visible in here, I'll lift you off and like get a light in and show you so you can see what the crack is. And then we'll check the valve clearances. So what I shall do, I'll just knock it off for a second. Oh, what I've also done, which I did off camera, I've took the plugs out. Obviously it makes life a lot easier trying to turn the motor over. But yeah, what I'll do, I'm going to spin the back wheel until we get top dead centre on the front cylinder. And then, as I say, I'll switch you back on, show you where the marks are and the position of the cams. And then we'll check the clearances, and then we'll spin it over again for the get top dead centre for the rear cylinder and check the clearances in there. So I'll just knock it off for a minute.